Success is holistic success. Success is we as people, we show up in everything, in every aspect of our life with everything we have. So it's your character, it's your reputation, it's your health, it's your fitness, it's your love life, it's your relationship to your loved one. And I would give up like my success, my worldly financial success in a moment to make sure that my relationship with my wife and my daughter is, if that one is threatened. So this is just equally important to me.
Jack Bosch, welcome to the root of all success.
All right, thank you very much for having me.
Well, you came to the U.S. with 2 suitcases, some student debt, but you built a multi-million-dollar business empire in real estate. So when you first arrived, did you even have any idea that you'd be sitting where you are today?
Absolutely not. I mean, I literally just came to the U.S. to do a 10-month college program, get an MBA. I already had a business background in Germany. I was basically doing the equivalent of a German MBA, coming from Germany. And so I went to the college, and I had my job lined up in Germany. I had my apartment just subleased. I still rented my apartment in Germany. I had my furniture put in my parents' basement. I was ready to go back home. I had everything lined up, and my friends were there. Everything was there, and I simply just came over because I figured I wanted an MBA because it would look good on my resume for the future, and I wanted to improve my English. And that there's no fiber in me even thought I would stay in the U.S. No fiber of me thought had the expectation I would be here today. My plan was strict career, 30, 40 years, go up our corporate ladder, and ideally in the consulting world, and that's it. So I had absolutely no.
So you and your wife, Michelle, right, have flipped over 5,000 properties, and you pioneered the forever cash model. What was the moment when you realized that land flipping was the key to generational wealth?
So I don't know if land flipping is the key to generational wealth. It's one of the many possible entry points to generational wealth. So the forever cash concept really means that in life you can work for cash that comes in once, so it's one-time cash. You can work for cash that comes in on an ongoing basis, but then stops at some point in time. So if you give somebody a loan, they'll pay you back with interest over 3 years, and then the money stops again. And forever cash. And forever cash is cash that you work for once and it comes in forever. That's forever cash. So we realized that land flipping was the cash machine that we could embrace, that we could figure out, that we could get to do in spite of not knowing anything about real estate, in spite of speaking English with an accent, in spite of having a job that I was traveling on 100%. So I couldn't do fix and flip because you had to supervise a crew. I couldn't do, any kind of like multifamily or something because I didn't have time to go look at it. I didn't have credit. I didn't have the net worth. I didn't have any of these things. So land flipping turned out to be what we call a cash machine, a income generating method that we could do starting part-time because I couldn't quit my job either because I was here on an H-1B visa. If I would have quit my job or lost my job, I would have had 60 days to find another job or leave the country. So I needed to do something that was part-time in order to, and had the income, had high income possibility. And we identified land flipping was that. And then later we identified that when we started making more money than we actually needed to live on, that really a cash machine is the prerequisite for generational wealth. Because you can't build generational wealth if every dollar that you make, you eat, right? So if you make 50 grand a year or 100 grand a year and your expenses are 100 grand a year, you're not making progress. So once we started realizing we're making 500 grand, we're making $1 million, but we're only living on 200 grand, all that extra money is like, what do we do with it now? And now we realized that's what the wealthy do. That's what the generational wealthy do. They have an income source that they can grow as much as possible, and then keep their lifestyle where it is for at least for a while, and then take all that excess, move that over into other asset classes that then over time become the source of their wealth, become the source of their income, and the income from over here over time exceeds what they're actually making in their active income. And that's the moment that you can quit working and you got the generational wealth, you're financially free, or you keep going and you build it to the level that it outlasts you, it outlasts your children. And that's one of our goals. I have a 17-year-old daughter. My wife and I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she wants to join the family business, and we want her to continue what we have created and continue to build on it.
So a lot of people believe that house flipping is the thing, just go buy a house, fix it up, sell it. But you focus on land flipping. So what's the biggest misconception that people have about land investing, and why do you believe it's such an untapped opportunity?
Yeah. So you're actually correct. House flipping works. I will never go stand anywhere and say like house flipping doesn't work. I have friends that do 300 house flips a year. They're making a lot of money, but they also have a team of 50 people. We know people, and we have done, when we've did 150 deals in our second year, we had 2 people working with us on 150 deals. So the biggest misconception is that land is slow, land is risky, and land is expensive. Those are the 3 things that people say. And they're actually true for a niche within land. When you talk about that downtown 5 acres that's ready, or that downtown acre that's ready to build a $500 million skyrise on it, it's going to take you, first of all, that piece of land is worth $20 million, then or more, or $50 million. That first of all, you got to buy it. It's super expensive. Then it takes 2-3 years to get the right building permits to even be able to build on there. And then it's risky, because if you finish that building right when the economy has a downturn, you might lose it into foreclosure. So that's where people think land is. People think land is land development. People think land is buy something and then wait 30 years until it appreciates. And if you bought it in the wrong part of town, it actually doesn't appreciate. But there's another kind of land investing. And the land investing that we do is land wholesaling. So our preferred holding time for a piece of land is 5 minutes. So in other words, we basically perfected the strategy of finding people all around the United States that have land, that don't want their land anymore, that are willing to give up their land for steep discounts. Typically, we talk about pieces of land with a market value of $30,000 to all the way to $1 million. And we get them typically between 20 and 60 cents on the dollar. So what we do is we figured out how to find these people, get these pieces of land under contract, don't buy them, put them under contract, mark them up, put them right back on the market for a markup, and then find a buyer. And then the best way to do those deals is that you use the buyer's money to pay everyone involved. So we don't even have to come out with the money out of our own pocket. We buy them, we sell them, do what's called the double closing. So we become the owners but the money comes from the buyers. So as a result, we only own it for like 10 seconds. Like they record a deed from the seller to us and a deed from us to the buyer, and the money comes from the buyer and it's enough money to pay the seller, to pay the title company, and pay us a profit. So in that strategy, the risk is almost non-existent, because the contracts that we use, if we don't find a buyer, or if the buyer falls out, or if the buyer disappears, we can simply turn around to the seller and cancel our contract. And on top of it, we don't even put earnest money deposits down. So in other words, we lock up properties without earnest money deposit, being able to back out of a contract any time for any reason, have long-term contracts, so we can turn around, market that property, find somebody to pay more for it, and it's an arbitrage deal. We simply put them on a contract low, sell them higher, pass on the deal, make money in the middle, and there's almost no risk. And if you do this in the right areas, properties sell in 2-3 weeks, because again, we're not selling them at market value. We're selling them, if we get them at 40% of market value, mark it up to 65% of market value. So it's the bargain of the it's the bargain on the market. Hope that makes sense. So the biggest misconception is that it's slow, that it's expensive, that it's risky. And that's true for these big infill lots, but there's an entire asset class around land that you can do that doesn't affect that whatsoever. That's not affected by that. So it works completely different.
The real estate market has seen a lot of ups and downs over the past 10 or 20 years. And, I wonder what was the most challenging part in your career, and then how did you push through that?
The biggest challenge was probably 2009, 8 and 9 and 10, because what happened there is the big recession, as they call it, like the financial meltdown back then. Real estate went down. Prices of real estate went off a cliff. So the bad part is prices of land went down during that time too. But the good part is that the demand for land didn't go away. So the big adjustment was that there was about a 6-month period where the sellers were holding on to the prices of before crash and the buyers wanting to already have prices after crash. And we did have to take a bunch of deals that we have in our contract and back out of a contract because we had them on a contract for $50,000 and pre-crash we would sell them for 80. Now the buyers only wanted to pay 30 for it. So we would have lost 20 grand. So what we needed to do is we went to a lot of the sellers and we had to renegotiate. We had to get those deals down from 50 to 20 and then sell them for 30. So we still made money. So the biggest adjustment was that in that about 6-month time period, it was way harder to do deals because, again, the expectations were different. But then the moment that the sellers realized, the market is different, we all of a sudden were able to buy them even cheaper, sell them cheap. So instead of paying 50 for them, we put them on a contract for 20, sold them for 35, continued to make $15,000 on the deal and kept going and going and going. So the adjustment was to push from a market where it was going up to a market where you had to really negotiate with sellers, get those get those acquisition prices way low, and then also sell lower. So we cruised through that time well. We didn't lose really any money. Our margins were thinner, but we had to come in and cancel a few contracts and renegotiate a lot of contracts in order to make them perform again. That was a big adjustment, but it was an adjustment that versus house people lost their houses left and right and got their Ferraris impounded and things like that. We just went from making $50,000 on a deal to make $20,000 on a deal by readjusting a little bit, and we continued to make money. But it was an adjustment.
So you've built a very successful business while educating thousands of people in this concept of land flipping. So what has been the biggest challenge in balancing building a successful business while also running an education side of the business?
The biggest challenge is time. The education side of the business is a heavy load if you want to do it the right way. Like there's people out there coaching, but they basically put together a program where you have access to them once a week on a group call. And other than that, they don't do much and they charge you an arm and a leg for it. Our programs are high-end programs. We have really, really good programs, but we have built a multi-million-dollar back end to our program with and managing that. I'm finding myself spending probably 70% of my time managing our coaching business and only having 30% of the time for the land business. So since we continue to do land deals, but we don't do as many land deals anymore, very simply because it's just doing both is a little bit of a strain on time. The good news is on the land side, though, you can automate most of the things, but at the same time, you still got to pay attention to it. And if you have many things that you pay attention to, then you end up doing a little bit less volume. But it's okay. We're doing less volume, but we're doing higher end deals. Like versus when we started out, we probably had deals where we made an average of $10,000 a deal. Then we went to $15,000, $20,000 a deal. Right now, I'm working on a deal that we have on a contract that's an entitlement property that we're having on a contract already for $1.7 million. And once it's all done, it might be worth $6 million. So that's more like a 12-month process, but it's a $4 million property profit kind of a deal. So we have shifted to the deals that we can hire more experts for, that have lower time involvement, but much higher returns.
Well, so now you've developed this thing called the Forever Cash model, which teaches people how to build lasting wealth. So what's the difference? And you alluded to this earlier, but I would like to dive in a little bit deeper. What's the difference between making quick cash on a flip versus building wealth that lasts?
Yeah. So the quick flip has one problem. Once the flip is done, the income is done. That's it. You flip, the money comes in, It might be 10,000, might be 100,000, might be 200,000, might be 50,000, whatever the number is. But once that money is used up, you got to go look for the next flip. The benefit of generational wealth is that it keeps throwing off money. It's like the golden goose. Like last year, we were in Italy and we walked through was in Positano and on the Amalfi Coast, and we walked into an art gallery, and they had a piece of art there, which is a golden goose, literally a golden goose. And it's a renowned artist and everything, and we like art, so we ended up buying it, and it's in our living room. And every day I walk by, this is the best analogy to the difference between one-time cash and longer-lasting wealth. If you do a fix and flip or flips like that, you're basically eating the goose. You're selling the goose, you get money for the goose. Like you bought the goose when it was ugly, you made it pretty. You're selling it, you get a profit, you eat it, but the goose is gone. If you have enough money to buy a goose and you keep the goose lays a golden egg every single day, and you eat you use the golden eggs, you live off the golden eggs, and you make sure your goose is nice and healthy and plump. And then ideally, what you want to use as many of those golden eggs, you want to use to buy more geese and more geese and more geese. And soon enough, you have an entire flock of geese that each throws off golden eggs, and you don't have to work anymore. Your work is really just managing the geese and keeping them in good health.
So when you built your stuff on flipping, but it sounds like that was more like you were eating the goose every time. So how did you shift from eating the goose to owning a goose?
Yeah. Two things. Flip as much as possible to make as much money as possible and keep your expenses as low as possible. So in 2001, I met my wife here in the U.S. She's an immigrant from Honduras, Central America. So we did each other no favor by marrying each other because it didn't help our immigration things. None of us had money. And we just simply we married out of love. We're married 24 years now. And we are, as a matter of fact, I think based on the release date of this, probably within a week of our 24th anniversary. And we are, we're happily married. But the point is, what I want to say right now. Oh, yeah. So we started this business together, and then we bought a house. We got married in 2001. By that time, I had built enough credit and a little bit of savings. So we did an FHA loan, 3% down, 97% loan, $151,000 starter home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the suburbs. Bought that house, was able to after our wedding day, go into the house and wonderful and live there. We lived in that house until our net worth was over $10 million. And we lived that on purpose because we kept our expenses low so that we could take all the excess thing. We drove old cars. We had a net worth of $7 million and we were driving a Geo Prism. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, we basically delayed gratification for a little bit. One day I drove to Geo Prism and I was driving like 5 miles an hour. I was reading the newspaper, eating a burger and looking out the window, and I stepped off the brake and I rear-ended another car at 5 miles an hour. But it was enough to total the Geo. So the Geo was done. Probably tore front light, and that was enough. That was more than the car was worth. At that point, we then bought a beautiful BMW X5. So we upgraded the car, but then we drove that X5 into into the garage of a $151,000 car, a $151,000 home, and then only once we had reached a certain point of this forever cash, of this like rental properties and apartment things, only at that point did we say, okay, it's time to upgrade our lifestyle, and then we upgraded it. So in other words, we make as much money as possible, live on as low as possible, move as much over as possible into these other asset classes. And then once you reach a certain level, then you upgrade your lifestyle because now it's not a big deal anymore.
Well, that actually leads into what I was going to ask next. You believe, and you've been very vocal about financial literacy and how people need to be financially literate. And I was going to ask, what's one money mindset shift that people need to make in order to break free from this paycheck to paycheck mentality? I'm going to assume that your question, or you're going to answer that question with an answer somewhere around delayed gratification, but I want to let you speak to that for sure.
Yes, you're 100% right. But I think I want to take this a different angle. And delayed gratification is number one, but the point is you got to learn to take joy out of postponing purchases. So we actually learned to celebrate the wins in the business, not the wins of spending. So in other words, basically, most people celebrate what they spent their money on. We celebrated the income and how much we have been able to put off to the side and how much we are able to put to be able to invest. So if we were able to make a $100,000 investment, that's what we celebrated, not the $100,000 car. So when you shift your celebrations to celebrate those things that make you wealthier, you automatically do more of that and less of the stuff that makes you poorer. So, and as a process, you naturally have delayed gratification. It's not even painful. It's actually joyous to delay gratification because you're seeing that you're approaching your goal, the ultimate goal of financial independence, in ever more faster steps. And that's something that we got tremendous joy out of, not necessarily the car we drive or the house we live in. That only then, once that was accomplished, now we live in the house. Now I have a Porsche 911 convertible, turbo convertible in the garage. Love that car. I wanted that car since I'm 19 years old, but I bought it 4 years ago when it didn't make a dip and ding in the bank account anymore. Right? But if I would have bought that car back early on, I would probably it would have been a major setback financially at that time, and would have taken us years to recover from that spending. Wow.
This is a very good conversation for me because I need to hear this. This is you're speaking to me and where I need to hear it because I want what you were driving and I'm waiting. I ordered one a few years ago and then they told me it's a 14-month allocation. It's going to take a while to get in. Well, thank God that I didn't fall through with it. But 4 months in, they called and said, "Hey, your allocation is ready. Are you ready?" I'm like, "No, I'm not ready. I expected to have more time to get ready for this purchase." So I let the allocation go. But I'm grateful that I didn't do it because it would have set me back. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I do have a Porsche now. It's a Macan Turbo, but it's not an 911 convertible. That's what I want. So I'm coming, Jack. I'm gonna meet you at some point.
And I'm not even a car guy. This is the only car I ever wanted. So I don't have a desire to buy any other cars. All our other cars are 10 years old. That's another thing. We drive our cars. We have a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 20-year-old car in the garage. And and I mean, there's a Porsche. These are Porsche Cayenne, 8 years old, 55,000 miles. It's a perfect car. Why would I want to explain it? I'm just not. That's not my love language. Is that not my thing? It's a perfectly fine car. I just fulfilled my dream for the 911. But we therefore spend outrageous amount of money on trips, on travel. That's our thing. So, but that's experiences. That's our daughter. That's like life experiences and events and things that we do with our daughter that we remember forever. So it's just a little bit different.
Well, you've also built a very strong personal brand. You have over 300,000 followers on the platforms while you're running multiple companies. How do you balance your life and your time?
So, ideally, when I'm on a podcast, I have a second camera recording myself, and then and then I have a small team of editors that take that and basically turns that into reels and things like that. Also, we have, but that's. So there's no extra time that I really spend on generating a lot of social media content, for example. I balance my time, probably not as good as I should. I do still work a lot because, again, we have a land business, we have an educational business, we have a multifamily business. I have a family, I have interests, I belong to masterminds. We run a mastermind for experienced land investors called the Ultimate Boardroom, and so. But overall, like the biggest part of that is if you're an existing and successful entrepreneur, I think one of the fastest things and most important things you got to do is you got to get an operations manager in place. And I dragged my feet on that forever. I finally have one in place now. She's fantastic. And the moment I put her in place, within a few weeks, 60% of my calendar is open now. That was stuff that I was just spending with team members and this meetings and that emergency and that emergent things like that, because I'm not an operations manager. So my operations manager, as a result, because I'm not one, my nature is not like that. I never put in really all the nitty gritty structure. So as a result, the team was trained to come to me and ask questions. Now with the operations manager in place, all the systems are being put in place, and they're not asking her and they're not asking me because they know what they need to do. So she's able to run it, and I'm able to basically just step back. So my time now is such, I always kept Wednesday afternoon open to go for lunch with my wife. But now I'm having, and I always have another thing, I don't take meetings before 10 a.m. in the morning. And I like to not take meetings after 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Usually that's kind of like the parameters. But those 6 hours in between, they were jam-packed every day. And now all of a sudden, I'm finding myself having Wednesday off, Monday half off, Thursday, Friday half off, and I'm literally right now in the process of actually reorganizing that I'm actually only doing like one meeting on Monday mornings, one on Friday mornings, and then the rest Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are basically off. And that now allows me to spend a lot more time on thinking time, on strategy time, on ideas, and on further growing as an entrepreneur.
All right, I want to take a break from a conversation with Jack Bosch and talk about Dub. Dub is our sponsor of the podcast today. And if you ever send sales emails, if you're sending an email to someone that you're trying to sell to, you're prospecting someone, or you're wanting to communicate to somebody on your team about what it is that you're trying to explain to them, Dub is the solution for this. You can record videos, you can do screen recording, you can record yourself on camera, and you can send it through the Dub platform through your email, right? I use Gmail. I could drop a video right there. A GIF will play when somebody opens the email, and then they hit play, plays the email right there for them, plays that video. How much more amazing is it to get an email with a video that you can watch for a couple of seconds with subtitles rather than reading a boring text email? Dub will provide that for you. It brings the personal back to personal selling. If you want to try that out with a great discount and a free trial, go to therealjasonduncan.com/dub. Therealjasonduncan.com/dub, and that's spelled DUBB. All right, we're back talking with Jack Bosch, land profit generator. You can go see his website at landprofitfund.com, which he's going to talk about later. But I have some other questions for him. Jack, how do you've built an amazing, high net worth, coming over as an immigrant with no money, and you decided to stay. You built a great business. What do you believe has been the key that has unlocked success for you more than anything else?
That is a good question. I think it is curiosity and focus, which usually sound like they're on two opposite spectrums. So I think initially, again, I'm business trained. I have no skills. I can't put a hammer in the wall. A nail in the wall. When we buy a painting, or my daughter just got herself something, I literally have to bring somebody in to know how to hang a painting up on the wall. I have no idea. I was able to unclog her toilet the other day. She was really impressed. But that's about it. So with that said, with no skills in that area, how in the world did I pick real estate? Well, I picked it because I looked at all kinds of stuff. I'm naturally curious. So we looked at all kinds of different things, and we finally stumbled upon real estate. And then within real estate, we tried like 7 different things. We failed at all of them, but then we made it work, land flipping, because it's the simpler way. You don't have tenants, toilets, and termites. You don't have, there's nobody living there. You don't actually have to see the property. There's aerial pictures, Google Street View. You can do everything from home. You get them on a contract. You don't need to use your own money. All of these things made sense for me. And once that made sense and we did our first deal with land, we locked in. And that's what I mean, curiosity until we found what really worked. And then we put the blinders on. And for 6 years, we just put our heads down and we just did land deal after land deal after land deal after land deal, not looking left or right, not looking after shiny pennies, not looking after everything, just purely focused on that one thing. And then we lifted up our heads and we're like, okay, life is good. We can upgrade our house. We can do this. We can do that. And then we started taking on the next kind of thing, which then was multifamily, and then our coaching side of things. But even there, focus. Once you take on one thing, just don't dabble with 15 things. Play with 15 things until you find the one thing, and then just put the head down and dabble. And that I think was the biggest key.
How do you define the word success? What does that mean to you?
Success means much more than money. Money, I think, is a part of it, but I don't feel when I see people out there that are being celebrated, but they have gone through 3 divorces and all kinds of things, and they have no relationship with their children, and they're billionaires. I wouldn't want to trade places with them. I think success is holistic success. Success is we as people, we show up in everything, in every aspect of our life with everything we have. So is your character, it's your reputation, it's your health, it's your fitness, it's your love life, it's your relationship to your loved one. And I would give up like my success, my worldly financial success in a moment to make sure that my relationship with my wife and my daughter is if that one is threatened. So this is just equally important to me as financial world is. So it's a much more holistic kind of definition. It's success is I mean, ideally as closely as having it all. Of course, I don't know if you really can have it all, but perhaps you can. But just being successful financially at the price you pay is that everything else is in shambles is not success.
Well, by that definition, which I like, do you consider yourself to be successful? I
do. I'm happily married. We have a fantastic relationship with my 17-year-old daughter. The other day, even though she's 17, she called us. She said, "You guys are my best friends," and she has friends, and so she's well adjusted, and she has a boyfriend, and she is independent and everything, but. We've created a really good relationship with her. And she's not an over pampered, spoiled little brat. She has done her first land deal already herself, made $35,000 on that deal. But yes, I would think modestly and humbly, I would say I'm successful. But not 100% successful. Like I still need to be more fit. I could be spending more time with my wife. I could be doing more things, but I think compared to the average, I am successful. Yes.
What is the favorite deal you ever closed?
Favorite deal that I ever closed? Probably a seller financing deal. We sell a lot of our properties with seller financing, where we basically allow the buyers to pay a portion down and pay the rest in monthly payments, because banks don't usually finance land, particularly if the land is on the outskirts of town. So we typically do 3 kinds of deals. We do infill lots, which we sell to builders. We take lots in the outskirts of town, which we sell to future retirees or people that want to just buy and hold them, or people that want to build a house outside of town. And the third category is properties that are more like mini ranches, a couple of hours away from town. And a lot of the time, the second and third category, people say like, I want to buy your $50,000 property, but I only have $10,000 as a down payment. So one of my favorite deals ever is an infill lot right here in Phoenix. Came across, got that deal, was a piece of land that actually had 2 houses on it, or two duplexes, so it was a 4-plex on it. And it burned down. They emptied the property, like cleaned it out. The guy got insurance money, so he had all his money back. He didn't really want to rebuild, didn't want to go to the hassles with developers and builders. So he just wanted to get rid of the property, and he gave it to us for $5,000. So we bought the property for $5,000, and then we turned around and sold it for $65,000 just a few weeks later with a $6,500 down payment. So in other words, the down payment was more than we paid for the property. So within a couple of weeks, we had all our money back. And now we arranged for monthly payments for $463 principal and interest, plus tax, plus loan servicing fee, for 20 years. So we basically we're out $5,000 for 2 weeks, got our $5,000 back plus $1,500. And then now we're receiving $463 for a total profit of $120,000 over the next 20 years. And an annual ROI on the $5,000 of 111%. All without even touching anything, all without actually, even though it's half an hour for me, I haven't even seen that property. I've never driven by. All of them is Google Street View. And all without ever touching the property, without ever in person even speaking to the buyer. I think Michelle talked to the buyer, but so I don't want to say we never talked to him. All without ever having to put a hammer in our hand, without having to hire an appraiser or a contractor in any shape or form. So that's probably my favorite.
Wow. What's one book every entrepreneur should read?
Not going to give you the typical book that everyone talks about in real estate, which is the Kiyosaki book. I'm going to give you a book by, it's called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. You have it?
I had it sitting right there. It's a yellow book right here.
Yeah,
let me grab it.
Book. It's a fantastic book.
All right. Here it is, everybody. This is it. I will say that I've not read it. It was given to me as a gift. I've not read it yet.
Oh, read it. It's going to become your favorite book ever. It's for every entrepreneur. It's the story of Will Guidara, who is the partner with some other guy that created a restaurant called 11 Madison Park, which is in New York City. The address of the restaurant is 11 Madison Park or 11 Madison Avenue. And they took it from a middle of the road restaurant to become the #1 restaurant in the world. And how they did that, they describe in the book in 25, 30 small 3-4 page chapters. They're built like a stories, easy to read. My 17-year-old daughter read it twice already, and she doesn't like to read. She's like, it's the best. It's a fantastic book. And you simply replace the word restaurant with business, and every single lesson applies to every single part of business. It's about customer service. It's about team building. It's about strategy. It's about overdoing it, underdoing it. It's about it's absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best business books I've read in 20 years.
Wow, that's a high praise. Well, I've just pulled it down off my shelf. I've set it right here on my my credenza. I'll have to take a look at it. Jack Bosch, thank you so much for being here today. I want everybody to know how to get in touch with you. Landprofitfund.com is something you said that people could reach out to. Tell everybody about that, and then any other ways that you want them to reach to you.
Sure. So Land Profit Fund is a place of fun, like having fun, F-U-N. You can go there to download a free 30-day blueprint about how our land flipping, land wholesaling, land seller financing strategy works. You can set it up yourself over the next 30 days. And that's the easiest way. I also have my own podcast. I keep the subject matter open. So just like yours, the real Jason Duncan, mine is the Jack Bosch Show. And so we talk a lot about entrepreneurship, but also about real estate. And then I'm on social media under Jack Bosch, really kind of everywhere. Social, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok for as long as it still exists, if it still exists by the time we publish this. So I'm on most of the platforms as Jack Bosch.
Well, Jack, congratulations on all your success, and congratulations on that 9/11, man. I'm coming for you. I want one too. So, congrats, man. Thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, listeners, thank you for tuning in today to hear another story from a successful person on how they did what they did. And this is what we do every week on this show. Every once in a while, I do a solo show and I kind of talk about some stuff, but this show is mainly an interview show for people just like Jack Bosch to come and talk about his success. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank again Jack and his team for making this happen. If you haven't subscribed or left a review for the podcast, it would mean a lot to me if you did that. Please make sure you tune in again next week when I talk with yet another very successful person, entrepreneur, leader, athlete, artist, whoever they might be. But it's going to be about their journey to success and their areas of expertise. Until then, as always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Feeling burnout from running your business? Uncertain if you're nearing burnout? Take our free 10-question business burnout test at businessburnouttest.com to discover where you stand. With just 10 quick questions, you'll learn how to immediately begin making changes to regain freedom and success. Cut your daily operations time in half. Improve your quality of life and prepare your business for your future exit without losing revenue or profit. Visit businessburnouttest.com now and take the test. Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.